every story appears ordinary until you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is the story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
Hello again and welcome to CoreTV News this hour. I am Nifemi Oguntoye. Suspected mastermind of the Yaya bombings Aminu Oguche has been extradited to Nigeria from Sudan. British Bana Oguche was flown into the country in a presidential jet and accompanied by Nigerian members of Interpol. The bomb suspect looked subdued as he walked down the plane between two operatives with his hands cuffed. Oguche, who was previously in the Nigerian army, fled to Sudan shortly after the bomb attack on the bus terminal in April, but was arrested within days. Police detectives have arrested the suspected senior member of Boko Haram while fleeing counter-insurgency operation at Bamo Forest in Bauchi State. Police spokesman Frank Oba said in a statement that 30-year-old Mohammed Zakari is the self-styled chief butcher at the insurgent camp in the forest. He is said to be responsible for the recent slaughter of 7 people, including women and children. Mba added that preliminary investigation reveals that the suspect was trained in the art of insurgency at Gombe Forest by a fleeing insurgent, one Abataura, before he moved to Bamo Forest about 3 months ago. The police say they actively participated in the April attack against customs officers at Kari Town along Maiduguri Road in Bauchi State. Away from there to Adamawa State, where the State House of Assembly has impeached Governor Murtala Nyako. The development follows the receipt of the report of 7-man panel set up by the former acting Chief Judge of the state, Ambrose Mamadi, to investigate allegations of gross misconduct against the governor and his deputy, Balangilari. Meanwhile, Ngilari, who is a member of the PDP, has resigned his position as deputy governor of the state. The drama that culminated in the impeachment of Nyako has for weeks attracted attention to the state as the all-PDP member House of Assembly made ceaseless efforts to serve them notice of impeachment before the constitution of the 7-man probe panel. The Speaker of the State House of Assembly, Amadou Marufintiri, is to be sworn in as acting governor. And almost as the news of Nyako's impeachment filtered out, his private residence in Abuja has been witnessing a lot of movement. His aides confirmed that they had been receiving visitors but would not comment on their mission. Policemen who were visible outside at the Asokoro home of the impeached governor also disappeared soon after the impeachment was announced. It's not clear whether Nyako was inside the high-walled residence, but this is where he has been holed up since the impeachment saga began. One of the leaders of the All Progressives Congress, APC, Bukola Saraki, has described the impeachment of Nyako as an assault on democracy. The former Kwara State governor, who is currently a member of the Senate, told journalists in Abuja that the stability of Nigeria's democracy is at stake. We'll bring you details of that story later on. Members of the House of Representatives elected under the platform of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, have endorsed President Goodluck Jonathan for a second term in office. Speaker Aminu Tambuwal was, however, absent at the meeting that began at about 9 on Monday night and ended just before midnight. House Leader Mulikata Kodi-Adeola told journalists that the PDP caucus of the House specifically asked the President to contest for a second term. On the absence of Speaker, Tambuwal Akande-Adeola said only him can explain his reasons for not turning up. She added that security issues were also discussed at the meeting and that the government was commended for efforts to restore peace in the affected parts of the country. Governors elected under the platform of the People's Democratic Party also held a similar meeting with President Jonathan and at the end also endorsed him for the leadership of the party. Meanwhile, PDP senators who were conveyed in a coaster bus to the venue were told they were invited in error.
Members of the People's Democratic Party caucus in the House of Representatives arriving for a meeting with President Jonathan. They were led to the meeting by Deputy Speaker Emeka Ihedioha in the absence of Speaker Tambuwal. State governors elected under the party's platform also turned up for a separate session. But the lawmakers were the first to be hosted by Jonathan, with Vice President Namadi Sambo and Party Chairman Adamu Muazu also in attendance. At the end, House Leader gave an insight into the closed session.
The purpose of today's meeting was to continue to deliberate on issues affecting our party, but the House caucus on our own decided to pass a vote of confidence on Mr. President and also to endorse him for a second term in office.
Can you let us into the President's response? What was it like? We're not there. Has he accepted?
No, we did an endorsement and we're urging him to run for a second tenure in office.
One will wonder why Mr. Speaker was absent at this crucial meeting.
I'm sure when you see Mr. Speaker, you will ask him that question. He's an individual, so this is a PDP meeting, and obviously if you ask him, he'll be able to tell you why he's not here today.
Shortly after, President Jonathan and other party leaders met with governors elected on the platform. Akwa Ibom State Governor described it as a strategy session ahead of 2015 elections.
We want to strategize on how we can best win the primaries and by implication also ensure that we bring out the best candidates, taking a cue from what has happened in Ekiti State, that if we are able to do a proper internal democracy, how we bring out the most popular candidates, then the elections will be less rancorous, and of course PDP will sell through with a view to getting up to 2/3 of the states of the Federation.
He also spoke on the lawmakers' endorsement of President Jonathan.
We are still waiting for INEC guidelines, so Mr. President did not give anybody any answer. He did not say, I will contest, I will not contest. He thanked them for the interest and for the confidence reposed in him. So I think from his body language, he's very mindful of the law and the need to wait for guidelines from INEC. That was what I noticed. Otherwise...
For now, President Jonathan has not declared his intention to seek re-election, but it's becoming increasingly clear that it will be sooner than later before he makes his intention known.
The All Progressives Congress APC has finally decided to challenge the conduct of the recently concluded governorship election at the tribunal. The decision has expectedly rubbished the early position of Governor Kayode Fayemi on the issue following his acceptance of defeat and congratulation of the winner Ayo Fayose. Rashid tells us more.
The respondents in the petition are the declared winner, People's Democratic Party, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, the Inspector General of Police, and the Chief of Defense Staff. Addressing journalists in Ado-Ekiti, the All Progressive Congress interim chairman in the state, Gideawe, said the party went to tribunal so as to save the nation from the new scientific election rigging that was experimented in the June 21st Ekiti governorship election.
Our party, the APC, has earlier signaled that we are going to unravel some secrecies surrounding the fiasco of 21st of June. That is the defeat of our party in the gubernatorial election in Ekiti State. And again, the process of election itself has a lot to be doubted, and that was exactly what moved us to say we want to question.
Gideawe added that Governor Kayode Fayemi conceded defeat and congratulated the declared winner of the election for peace to reign in the state.
The governor, as a governor, does not own the party. It is the party that features the governor. And we are not only taking that decision, it was the decision of the apex body of APC as a political party. that we must challenge some of these gray areas we have discovered in the election. So the statement of the governor, either congratulating the so-called elect or not, he acted as a statesman, as the helmsman of this state till October 15. He is still the governor, and he has the right to protect, and he has the right to do what is right to the largest percentage of Ekiti people. That's exactly what he has done. It is part of his constitutional duty.
The Ekiti governorship election has been widely acclaimed as free and fair, but the petition filed in by the All Progressives Congress will seek to unravel the concerns of all parties involved. Rashid, CoreTV News, Ado Ekiti.
And on a related issue, the resident electoral commissioner Ekiti State, Halilu Pai, has expressed readiness of the Independent National Electoral Commission to defend the June 21 governorship election at the tribunal. This follows the submission of the All Progressives Congress of a petition challenging the results of the election won by the People's Democratic Party's candidate Ayafashe before the Ekiti governorship election petition tribunal sitting in Ado Ekiti. INEC declared Fashe winner of the election ahead of the incumbent governor and APC candidate Kaudu Fahimi after polling 203,090 votes to 120,433. The APC had alleged that the election was manipulated using federal might in favor of the PDP. Pai explains that the election petition filed by the APC was in line with the dictate of the Electoral Act 2010 as amended. He added that any aggrieved party or candidate who wishes to challenge the outcome is equally free to do so within the ambit of the state enabling instrument. About 2,000 Nigerian lawyers are currently in Abuja to elect new officers to run the affairs of the Nigeria Bar Association for the next 2 years. The delegates' conference is taking place amidst tight security. Aside from monitoring the process inside the hall, security operatives are also stationed outside to ensure a hitch-free conference. 5 candidates from the southwest are jostling to lead the NBA, but some delegates are not convinced that the NBA can organize a credible election.
Don't use the word free and fair, I use credible. And credible not just in terms of the processes, but also credible in terms of the institution organizing it. I have genuine fears about the credibility of the Nigerian Bar Association in terms of elections. I'm on record. I don't think we're set up to organize credible elections. I don't think the bar right now is set up to organize credible elections. No.
Why?
Because the rules are elastic, the rules are opaque. As at noon this afternoon, the candidates, we had a list of eligible voters. We did not have a list of accredited voters. You don't go into an election without a list of accredited voters for an electorate of less than 2,000 people. That's wrong. That says we're inefficient. That says we are not properly organized. That says we're not set up to organize proper elections. Now, accreditation ended last night. By the time accreditation ended, we should have had the list of accredited voters passed on to all the candidates and their agents. That didn't happen. Candidates, in the past few minutes, I think the raw numbers have been given to the candidates and their agents, but not the details. That's right.
Federation Account Allocation Committee has shared 684.89 billion naira among the 3 tiers of government for June 2014. The amount is slightly more than what was disbursed in May, but gross revenue of 78.8 billion naira was lower than the 844 billion naira recorded in the previous month. The FAC meeting was presided over by Minister of State for Finance, Bashir Yukuda, and as usual had State Commissioners of Finance in attendance. Meanwhile, the Chief of Army Staff is seeking more public support for the war against insurgency. He also wants Nigerians to be patient with soldiers at the front lines because the war is not a conventional one. Benima made us known at the news conference to commemorate the 3rd quarter conference of the Chief of Army Staff in Abuja. Pasamo now reports.
The war against insurgency has been on for a while now in Nigeria, with no end in sight. But the Chief of Army Staff says the army under his watch is committed to checking the activities of the insurgents.
My focus has been primarily on tackling the insurgency as raised by the Boko Haram terrorist group in the northeastern part of the country, and other security challenges in the north central and the northwest, which we have conclusively brought to stability.
Recently, Nigerians have questioned the integrity of the army as they combat insurgency in the country. But the army chief insisted the soldiers are committed to the task at hand.
As you are all aware, our nation is today faced with enormous security challenges. The upsurge in incidents of terrorism has shifted the focus of the general public to the armed forces, and particularly the Nigerian army. Our activities are increasingly coming under public scrutiny, while a lot of patriotic Nigerians, and particularly the ordinary Nigerians, have continued to support the Nigerian army. Others have used the opportunity, and somehow a very small section of the press, to cast aspersions on our competence, integrity, and ability to rise up to this occasion.
On the security situation in the northeast, the army is convinced that the region will soon be stable.
I know the expectation of the Nigerian citizen is that this thing should have been over by yesterday. But the reality is that it wouldn't have been over by yesterday because of the structure and the dynamics of fighting this type of terrorism. Now we are fighting Nigerian citizens. We are not fighting foreigners. So caution must be exercised. And I appeal that we will certainly surmount it.
As troops continue to chart new ways of containing terrorism, the army authorities want Nigerians to continue to exercise patience. Pius Samuel, CoreTV News, Abuja.
The Lagos State Commission of Education Alayin Kaolatunjung Joey has urged parents and guardians of children with special needs to turn their disabilities positively and make them useful to the society. This, according to the commissioner, will help the Lagos State government achieve its special interest in making education accessible to all. Olajumoke Olatunji has details.
Education, they say, is the foundation for the development of any nation. The Advocacy Committee on Special Education under the Lagos Ministry of Education has taken a special interest in the usefulness, progress and education of the physically challenged children in the state. The Commissioner of Education, Olayin Kaolatunji, calls on the general public not to shy away from identifying the physically challenged children with the society. She added that the children deserve the best of education and should not be deprived of their human rights.
We're working hard to ensure that everybody has an opportunity to go to school. We have a yellow card. We tell parents that if your child is not in school and you are caught, you're either going to go to jail or you are going to get a fine, or both, in fact. So, as government, every child should be in school. And for us in Lagos, we're happy that we have gender parity in the state. All our girls, there's no disparity between boys and girls. Even in some areas, we have more girls in school than boys. And indeed, in some places, girls are doing better than boys. So for us, that's not a challenge for us. But we are still advocating and telling parents that they should bring their children to school.
The Chairman, House Committee on Education, Olawale Alawaye King, and Chairman, Advocacy Committee on Special Education Matters, Titi Sholari, says basic education has been made compulsory and free for all.
We have so many policies on education, the national policy on education, the state policy on education, particularly the basic education policy, you understand, that make it compulsory and free for the first basic education, that is the first 9 years. So the states, we have been making sure that we support that policy, and that is what we have been doing.
Lagos State government has made education accessible to all children through what we call inclusive education. This is whereby children with disability and other children learn together in a very conducive atmosphere. There is no discrimination whatsoever in learning in Lagos State.
The committee's objectives include nurturing children with special needs to make positive impacts in the world. Olajumoke Olatunji, CoreTV News, Lagos.
Last weekend, raid on substandard mobile phones at the popular computer village in the Ikeja area of Lagos by the Standard Organization of Nigeria has left the traders with a sour taste. Ramson Acheme was there.
Solidarity forever. We shall always fight for.
Eyewitnesses said several shops were closed and vendors arrested. Tension rose as salesmen tried to challenge the action of the regulatory body. They were prevented from confronting the authorities by leaders of the market union.
Don't fight, don't break anything, don't go about doing any evil.
The secretary of the Phone and Allied Products Dealers Association, Uche Uchendu, said there was an understanding between them and Sun Authority to rid the markets of fake phones, and effort is being made to comply with the orders. The only problem, he said, is that the authorities of the Standards Organization did not give them enough time to comply.
Before now, we had an MOU with Sun that we will make sure, if not wiped out completely, it will get to minimal level the fake phones in the market and in Nigeria. So what we are saying is, this thing needs time. Something that started over 10 years ago, since 1999 or so, when GSM came into the country. They won't come out and stamp it out in force this month.
Some of the vendors who spoke to CoreTV News lamented the sudden raid.
This morning when I was passing by, what I saw in Computer Village here was not encouraging. I've known this Computer Village as a place of peaceful people, but this time around I don't know why, the violence keep on this morning. When I asked people around, they said the police people and some members came in here on Saturday claiming they are from government.
My uncle that they whisked away, I was surprised why they took him, because he doesn't sell phone. The information I got around was that he went to tell one of the police officers that the owner of the shop is not on ground. That was why they whisked him away. Why would you whisk him away? So he cannot talk to the police again.
The GSM phone market has attracted from patronage from all parts of Nigeria, as it meets the needs of most dealers and retailers across the country. Ramsin Acheme, CoreTV News, Lagos.
For Nigeria now, Israel has continued its punishing raids on Gaza, but held up from a 13 ground incursion as the world intensified efforts to broker truce. Israel appeared to be holding out, with media reports saying that ministers attending a meeting to discuss moves to end the shedding of Palestinian civilian blood and formulate a common Arab stance on the crisis. Israeli Defense Minister Moshe Yaalon admits the operation had caused huge damage to Hamas, while Hamas has continued to hit back. And it's a wrap on CoreTV News this hour. Join us again at 9:45 for the primetime news. I'm Nifemi Oguntoye. Thanks for being there.